Alright, I will come clean. I over complexified my toolbox. It looks amazing in the end, but holy every small detail in this build could have been a video of its own. It was just too much. From start to finish, it took me a year to finish this toolbox. It was a huge headache and it delayed the production of videos. I want to say I learned my lesson and that I'm not going to do it again, but that would probably be a lie. If you have yet to see them, I strongly recommend watching the videos that come before this video. This is a part 2, so there is in fact a part 1. That's pretty cool how that works. And there's a video on how I made the handle, which pops out and twists at 90 degrees and everything. It's kind of needlessly complicated, but it's pretty cool. I suggest you watch that. The notch greatly weakens the dovetail joint, so I added a pin. It's not ideal, but it looks like it's going to hold up. I didn't make plans for any of the mechanical systems in this toolbox. I just wung it as I went, which somehow worked out fine, and it made the whole process super interesting because I never really knew what I was doing. But I knew I wanted a system that you could press a button to open a drawer and that you could simply push the drawer back in to close it. This spring here is going to put tension on the drawer so that when you press a button, it opens by about 1 inch. One of the big drawers is going to be for my hand planes. I'm making forms so that the tools don't move around in transport. I'm sure many of you will criticize my choice to use velvet to line the drawer bottoms, but I enjoy the classy look it gives, and the sawdust removes quite quickly with a vacuum cleaner. This is my hand plane drawer, if that's not super obvious. I'm putting a bull nose, a small finger plane, and my beloved number 3. The number 3 is the perfect size for me, and it happens to fit perfectly in a toolbox. One of my drawers twisted, which prevents it from sliding freely. The only solution I could find was to use a brace. It has to go in a diagonal, which is going to take a lot of room, so I'm going to have to work around it. On one side of the brace I put some tools, and on the other I put some free space. That way the brace almost seems intentional. In the spirit of over-complexificationing, I chose to do some bent laminations for the legs. This will keep the grain in the right direction, which means I can put a lot more weight for a smaller leg. It will look better and be stronger. It was my first time using a ratchet strap for the mold, and the results were mediocre. A piece of spring steel between the laminations and the ratchet strap would probably have given a much better result, but I didn't have one laying around and I'm kind of lazy. The joinery between the legs is a half-lap miter joint, which is rendered more complicated by the curve in the leg. I chose to use tree nails to attach the legs to the main body. It's like a dowel but is pinned in place, so it's a lot stronger. It was a method used by ship makers back in the day, and since my toolbox will definitely have a name, she's basically a ship. So it makes sense? Naturally, I made my tree nails a little bit more complicated and better looking. I've actually used these in the past for a cantilever box, so I wanted to try that again. Actually, that cantilever box inspired this toolbox quite a bit. It has those rounded edges all over the place, just the way the toolbox does. The floating panels also meant I didn't have a lot of room to glue the legs in place, since I can't glue them to the floating panels. Which is why I chose tree nails. They're excessively strong, mostly for the surface area they take. They were a perfect candidate here, and they worked very well. The legs will be braced together to increase their strength. Finding the right jointery is actually quite difficult for this joint. The grain isn't perpendicular, and the legs are taking a lot of weight from the toolbox, so the joint has to be very strong but also extremely compact and with the weird grain. I settled for a compound angle dovetail, which is pretty weird, and I'm also going to reinforce it with a screw. The lid wants to bend with humidity, so I'm adding some braces. Since the lid is just a piece of wood that expands with humidity, it's important to have oblong holes in the braces and in the magnet strips. This is going to protect the lid from warping or cracking as it expands from humidity. The first drawer is for all of my small measurement tools, as well as my Type 42 hammer, to tap things into place. The second compartment holds my notebook and my writing utensils. I already filmed the last video, all I have left to do is the post-production. The video will be out fairly shortly, and for my Patreons, it's going to be out a week before. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, or like 5 of them. I really enjoy reading them, and it's very informative for people in the comments too. These videos are very long to make, so if you would like to support this channel, feel free to share this video, join my Patreon, or check out the tools I make and sell.